Okay, guys, we're back again. This is the second video in the series. If you didn't watch Creating a Service Principal and you don't have a script to go ahead and do that to make sure everything's set up properly, then go ahead and watch the previous video where I kind of go through this long preamble about how to set up the script, run the script. It's really easy to run. You just essentially run it if you're here in the United States, and off to the races you go. However, I did try to provide a little bit of use case information, specific issues that you might run into with downloading the file from GitHub. So unfortunately, it wound up being a 20-minute video trying to give you a real good, thorough explanation. But it's as simple as just running a script, long, short. Okay. So in this video, what I want to do is I want to show you this, service principal system roles as it relates to the Power Platform. So let's go ahead and jump in a browser, and I'm going to start from the make.powerapps.com experience, and from here I want to show you how to navigate into the administrative area that you need to. So now that you're in make.powerapps.com, you should land, I guess, in your default environment for wherever it is, and you may need to authenticate and sign in. I didn't have to because I've got it cached. But in any event, what you do is click up here on this cog, and you want to go to the Admin Center. And then from there, on the left sidebar, when it loads, you need to click on the link that says Environments. Okay, so over here we see Environments. So let's go ahead and click here. So what I'm going to show you in this video series is the concept of application lifecycle management in a very, very simple way. We're only going to use two environments. That's going to be a development environment and a production environment. And this is the minimum, bare bones minimum configuration that you're going to have. In the real world, you're probably going to have at least maybe 3 or 4, because you may have dev, then QA, and then prod. Or you'll have dev and QA and user acceptance testing, where essentially what you'll let the customer do, or the people within the business of your organization, let them kick the tires in kind of a free-for-all, carefree way, not knowing, or with knowing that they're not going to break anything, and they have full reign to just completely try to trash the product, learn from the product. In other words, take risks, understand how it works, not be afraid to click on something to see what might happen in the real world. And so the user acceptance testing zone is very critical, I've found, in releasing software to enterprise environments. So in this video, again, we're only going to focus on 2. So let me kind of explain, because they're not clearly labeled as to the intention. The default environment, I'm using this as kind of my development environment. This David Soden's environment, I'm going to use this for the illustration purposes, at least of these videos. We're going to go ahead and we're going to use this as the production environment. So again, default is development. David Soden's environment is production. Okay, so let's now take our service principal and give him system administrative roles. Again, we're back here in the admin area. So I'm going to click into the default area, or click again. I guess maybe I didn't click the first time. And what I want you to focus on is this access block over here. Now, because we're using a service principal, we need to focus on this S2S apps, okay? This is essentially where service principals, application registrations, and other things are added, okay? So it's going to be helpful to understand the name of my service principal. And so if I don't know the name, I'm not going to be able to go much further. Now, if you weren't using a service principal and you wanted to use a service account or a user account, then what you would need to do is to do what I'm about to show you down here in the S2S apps, but just do it up here, guys. Do it in the users area. The steps are literally 99.9% identical, okay? So in the S2S apps, what we're going to do is we're going to choose a new application user. And from here, I'm going to choose add an app. Again, application registrations and service principals, I went through this in video number 1. They are pretty much synonymous. They're one, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm getting tongue-tied. All the same, okay? So here is our new service principal account that I've created called PowerPlat SPN, and then the date timestamp. And so all I need to do is highlight this and add it. And at that point, assign it to the only business role that I have. If you had more than one business role, then I would suggest putting it at the organizational level or at the highest level that you can possibly do it. And now remember, we're adding the system administrator role, which is all the way down here at the bottom of the list. So scroll, scroll, scroll. All right, here we are, system administrator. That's it, easy peasy. That's all you have to do is press the select and create, and it will add this service principal now as a system administrator, but just for this one environment. So you have to think of environments almost like their network or like a domain. It's its own little area, right? And so this user now can control and do everything that you need it to do. And because what we're doing here, when we're working in this environment, we're working with solutions, and we need to import, export, these solutions around. In order to do that, you need to make sure that you have those system administrator permissions. Now, you can create custom roles. That's out of the scope of this video. So if you wanted to not use the system administrator role, but just give the granular roles that's needed, know that you could create a new role with, as long as you have the appropriate permissions, and you can avoid using the system administrator role for whatever reason if you so chose to do that. If you want to see that in another video, let me know in the comments below, and maybe I'll consider doing a video on that if there's enough requests. But in any event, we just need to follow through, do the same steps to the other environment, okay? So this time I'm going to go over to David Soden's environment, again down to the S2S apps under the access block, if and or when it ever loads. Okay, here we are again in the access area. We got to click on the S2S apps. I'm clicking here. I'm going to click new app user, add an app, which is really the service principal. I'm selecting the service principal account we created in video 1. I'm going to choose the only organizational unit I have. This is the default way it looks out of the box if you don't change it. Go ahead and choose the system administrator role all the way at the bottom and hit save and create. And now that information is done. Okay, guys, that is it for this very short video. Much better than the first one because all we had to do is just add system admin to both of these. So now with the account being set up, we're ready to move on to the third video where we can actually start using and doing and get into the exciting stuff of actually doing the ALM stuff. All right, we'll see you in the next video.